So first, I guess I can talk a bit more about the products we build at Section L.
Yeah.
So we have this in terms of software product, we have this whole like suite of software that we call the intersection suite. And that consists of like three different apps. So one is the check-in app. So where we use that every property to like upon arrival, guests check in on that
Yeah.
application and we present it in so everything is web app. And then we present that app on the iPad. Like guests just enter all the required
Okay.
information on the app and then get the door code and everything. So everything is like digital. We don't issue key cards or anything. And then checkout is also just like a few button clicks. And then the second app is the guest experience app, which is something we're really like trying to grow. Like I think we see a lot of potential in that, which is I
Yeah.
guess something we want. So how do we basically enable the whole sectional experience through the software platform? It has certain more like like utility based features as like concierge like house information and then
Right.
like house rules and contacting our staff. But there's what's more exciting is like the community side of things. How do we make people like introduce the neighborhood to our guests and
Yeah.
how do we curate the experience more? How can we make people like want to meet each other and then maybe eventually they want to like give travel tips and then help each other with different problems because
Yeah.
I guess our hotel are targeting towards it's like flexible living. Like, some of our guests are, well, right now, most of our guests are here for traveling, but they stay for more extended period of time than like traditional tourists. They stay our average
So around like
most,
2 weeks.
yeah, 2 weeks, like a week or so. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, 1 week is the biggest portion. So they really have the time to
Okay.
get to know neighborhood a bit. So that's the experience app. And then like to tie everything together, we have this admin app that our operations team uses to like manage guest information, then like
Right.
curate maybe events and answer messages and all that. So that's the all of
Sounds
our
very busy from a digital front.
yes, it is very busy. Like a lot going on. Yeah. And
One thing I'm curious about is
mm,
when it comes to the sort of check-in and check-out app
mm,
and things like that,
mm,
I don't say it's a very big choice to choose to
mm,
develop that in-house, like to choose to develop
mm,
with team and the resources that you rather than
mm,
using maybe something that's already available on the market. Is
mm.
there a reason that that choice was made where it's like it's better that we make this experience from scratch?
Mm. I guess is one thing is like we didn't really we were using something else before.
Yeah.
Like we tried yeah, like we the founders app, yeah, tried two different apps. Those was actually before I joined. So they were using two different applications, but we didn't like any of the experience. It just felt
Right.
really like, the digital experience was really lacking.
Right. Right.
And that, yeah. And then I think in terms of like customization, like what
Yeah.
things do you want to like collect? What do you not want to collect? It's not as
Right.
flexible. That's one factor. And another thing is kind of maybe the business opportunity. Like if we really get this right, and we can
Yeah.
potentially sell this product in the future. So those
Oh,
are
I see. It's like sell
the check-in
digital
app.
experience. Oh, I see.
Mm,
Okay.
yeah,
In the
yeah,
future.
yeah. In the future. Mm.
One thing I'm curious is because you like, do your customers know about the experience app, right? The community app. Do they know about this before they check in, or is it more they learn about it during check-in and you have them on board as part of the check-in process?
So right now, I think most of our customers know about it after they check. We promote this a little bit on our website. And then
Yeah.
we're right now, one of the focus is actually letting people know about this earlier before they
Yeah.
arrive. Far as something we talk about upon arrival, because most of our properties actually there is a front desk and we'll like
Yeah.
kind of like after we'll complete their check-in process, we'll talk about, oh, these are the things you can do on our app. You can just scan the
Yeah.
QR code and sign up from there.
Because to
But
be honest,
mm,
there's a really exciting space, I think, for the
mm,
application when you say that you're doing community events. Like I used to work
mm,
as a tour guide in Kyoto. And
mm,
you would get requests from, 6, 7 different travel platforms where people are just going,
yeah,
I want someone to show me around town. And so I think there's a lot of potential in marketing the community facing app a little bit earlier, saying, "Hey,
Yeah,
you come with us, you stay with us, and we include all of this in your experience."
exactly. And one thing, like, we're also trying to figure out, like, it's, yeah, definitely giving people access to this community earlier, like, right after they book, probably, instead of, like, after their stay starts, so they can
Yeah,
plan better. But also, it's not just we providing the experience and them receiving, not like a one-way street. We really want to build this experience where people are encouraged to kind of help each other. They feel like they want to give back to the community. I think that sense of the community. So if they can find out about some interesting experience through like some guy who stayed like
right.
a
Like, oh,
week.
I checked out this hotel and it was great, so you can go.
Yeah,
Like, I
yeah,
would recommend
yeah,
that kind of thing. Okay,
yeah. Or like more spontaneous, like, oh, I'm going to check out this bar. Like anyone else want to join me? Uh,
okay.
mm,
So you
mm,
have like
mm.
a live group chat for guests that are staying where they can share
Yeah.
these kind of resources.
Yes, yes. Right now we do.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we before we started recording, we were also discussing having a physical space. You've got
Mm,
some new properties that you're setting up. Do you
mm,
do you try to reflect this online digital experience community in the building as well? So do you have like a community space similar to a hostel where they would have, one game room or one like lounge area,
mm,
or is
mm.
it primarily digital and then ex- say share the experience outside?
Yeah, right now our physical space is a little bit limited because we only have like the lobby area. We don't have like
Right.
too much other like common space. But what we try to consider all these like small events we can do in the lobby when we
Yeah.
redesign the lobby. For example, now
Yeah.
we have like weekly happy hours at each of our
Okay.
and that's really a chance for people to get together and meet everyone. And it's pretty like casual in format. You just
Yeah.
like you drop by for a drink and then you stay if you want. So we'll like design the kind of the seating and then the to make people feel
Yeah.
that they can stay more. But also
So it
it's
feels more like a lounge rather than a pass through.
yeah, yeah, for some of the
Okay.
properties. And some properties is
Yeah.
kind of more restricted in a way.
Right.
It's yeah. But that's something we're trying to and future-wise, we'll really love to have more properties that have even more, like, public space where we can host more
Right.
events. That would be like yeah, so
Yeah,
we
we
have
can we
this
can host more events with section of
yeah, yeah, that would be great, and then you have this online, offline because they need to it's not just, like, separated, they kinda feed into
Yes.
each other. Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think that idea of like spontaneous connection that you get with members of a community, then having that physical space within the building, whether it's the lounge or whether it's the lobby or whether there's
Mm.
another space in the future, I think that is a really good way to bring the digital and the physical together.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that sounds
definitely.
exciting.
Yeah, yeah, it's very exciting. And also, we're thinking about ways to, because for every new property we open, we
Yeah.
also reach out to the like cafes, restaurants in the neighborhood, and we really
Right.
promote them throughout our like our website and our
Ah,
experience
okay.
app. Yeah, so in the future, it will be like it, or kind of thinking about this way of how do we make that connection stronger and make
Right.
guests feel the local community more.
Right.
Yeah, so far we have something like, the bingo, like with the Yamanote bingo, like if you
Oh
go
yes, yeah,
to
yeah.
a few different places, you get like a certain rewards, like prize from us.
Yes.
And now that we have more buildings, we have like a community within all of our buildings as well, right?
Yeah.
How do you connect people who live in different locations?
I will
And
say limited edition stickers or fridge magnets apparently
yeah,
are very popular.
yeah, 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 a fish mag, yeah,
Yeah,
definitely
I've never
something
been
like.
one for fridge magnets, but then within my diving group, my
Mm.
customers are like, "We want fridge magnets. Where are the fridge magnets?" So
Oh,
that might be worth
really?
it.
Oh,
Apparently,
wow,
yeah,
that's
because they collect it as like places that
yeah,
they've been to.
yeah. Yeah, it's like a easy yeah. Oh, okay, okay. That's
Yeah,
good to know.
like a small like, hey, congratulations for
Right,
exploring
right.
the area that you're staying in.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Mm,
So then I'd like the opportunity to ask a little bit about, when COVID hit and when the pandemic
mm,
hit, you're
mm,
obviously in the hospitality space. And I remember
mm,
that's around when we That's nice. Can
Yeah,
you
yeah.
walk us through a little bit more about your experience, how you adjusted your priorities or how you adjusted the community app in the face of
Mm,
the fact that, the borders are closed and a lot less travelers are coming in?
yeah, yeah. I mean, that was a very, yeah, very interesting time for us because, yeah, yeah, 'cause we're lucky in a way because we are like apartment style hotel, so we're
Yeah.
still we people can still stay with us like when they're like we have a lot of long term like tenant basically or business
Oh, you
travelers.
do?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So people stay for, like months, like half a year, that kind of when
Mm.
they're here for
Wow.
exchange or like yeah,
Yeah.
business projects and stuff. So that was most of our customer base back then.
Right.
But that was also when we started this whole, like, digital like, a software product effort, and we
Yeah.
really saw the potential in the community space. So we built a bunch of, like so we had all these ideas, we reached out to kind of worldwide audience through
Yeah.
our social media to get ideas about community. So we built this, like, prototype to test out. But then, during COVID, no one was like, we didn't have our target. Our target audience was talking to us on
Yes.
social media, but they're not physically here to really try out
Yeah.
it. So that was a big like, "Oh, what do we do?" No one see the point of community app basically back then.
Yeah.
And that's kind of when we, like, shifted the purpose to, like, figure out really smoothing out the essential flow, like the essential customer journey a bit, which is the check-in app. Like,
Right.
so we kinda iterated quite a bit on the check-in app to make that just doesn't matter why people are staying with us, they always
Right.
need to go through that check-in.
Right. Right.
And just, like, we want that experience to be very, like, seamless and very, like, just quick, so people can
Yeah.
just be like, "Oh, I'm in," and now that we can really explore things. So that's
Right.
kind of how we pivoted, like, what we focused on during COVID time. So check-in and then admin. And so earlier this year, we're really focusing a lot on our
Yeah.
admin features because as we're expanding, our admin features were a little bit because comparing to operating 2 properties and now 8
Right.
properties, the
Eight.
information that 8, yeah. Right now
Wow.
is 8. So
Wow. You've grown.
yeah. Yeah, so, like, when we started, we just only had 50 rooms, and now we have
Yeah.
180, like yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and across 8 different locations. This is quite a lot of the demand, the need of, like, doing things is different from
Yeah.
the operations side, so we wanted to enable our operations team more, like, that they feel that, "Oh, these things are making all these different features are making our lives
Right.
easier." So after the checking app, we, like, kinda focus a bit more on the app, and so we believe,
Right.
if our ops team can handle guest requests and all these admin related
Right.
things smoother, then they can focus more on providing the hospitality experience to our guests.
Right.
And then that's when, like, kind of especially from the sakura season, it's been I mean, last year end
This
of
year.
last year's already pretty yeah, this year, like, end of last year was
Right.
already, like, we really like, saw the trend of people coming back. But around sakura season, it was when, like, everyone came back. And then, like and then we really saw this, like, kind of demand for community, for experience, for
Right.
event, and then I think finally, our target customers are here with
Right.
us. And we even so we haven't like since the initial release of the experience app, we didn't
Right.
really add any like huge new features to it until like yeah.
Right. Right.
So we're
Because you were
just
focusing on first your internal operations and making sure that was smooth, and then focusing on the admin platform for those who are
yeah,
managing the
yeah.
check-ins.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. Yeah. So and then like keep in mind we only have 2 engineers. So and then 2
Wait,
engineers
still?
that
What
yes.
Ian and what
And
Ian and
actually,
who's the? I haven't met the
no,
other one.
no, Ryan is the new
Ian and
engineer that
Ryan.
joined. Yeah, so 2
Oh.
engineers
Oh.
and me.
If you've
Yeah.
gone from if you've gone from 50 rooms to 180 rooms, and you've gone from what? You've gone from what? Two accommodations to 8 accommodations. Like more engineers.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. We need to catch up on our
Oh.
hierarchy. Yes, I know, but good that Ian now has a teammate to work together on all these things. So,
Wow.
yeah. And then especially the first version of everything we build is really
Yeah.
just like, I think it's more like MVP, like prototype
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
quality. And now, actually, recently we released a big new version of the check-in app. That's a kind of our entire
Okay.
effort to upgrade the check-in experience. And
Yeah.
then we've been adding like incremental changes to app. But now, like, I think for the like later half of this year, it's like, and we're just like, this whole journey. I feel like we're just playing,
Yeah.
we're just catching the,
Yeah.
we're
Yeah.
like, yeah, the
Well,
what
but
the,
the nice thing is, like, you see the opportunities in front of you, right?
yeah, yeah,
And you're very flexible to pivoting to what you need to. So like when the pandemic first hit, you're like, okay, we're
mm,
still new, because the founders of Section L, I forgot his name now, but he finished the Lowagon boot camp, and from there he's
mm,
like, this is something I want to start. And so,
yeah,
you start chasing down that opportunity, but then once the pandemic hits, it's like, okay, how do
mm,
we adjust? So let's make sure that our core operations are good, and then once that's done, make sure our admin team makes things. And then now that your target audience, your initial target audience is coming back, it's like, okay, we can improve the customer experience, which was the goal in the first place. So it sounds like your team is doing really good in adjusting to the circumstances and being able to meet the needs at that time.
yeah, yeah, exactly. I think it's really great that we kind of built the pillars, are the
Yeah,
tech and the experience and the
yeah.
admin, and now we have the playground to play with, and but which one to we want to, add more to with our limited resource.
I'm not gonna lie, I feel really bad for Ian because how do I say? Sometimes I picture the work that we do as, we're kind of the architect. We try to
Yeah,
say, hey, we want to focus on this. This is what we want to work on, and then
yeah,
we give the blueprint to the
yeah,
engineers that make it.
yeah, mm,
Making it is also a lot of work. Like, I have so much respect for engineers and the engineer teams
yeah,
that we
yeah,
have, because they're the ones that are actually making the thing and iterating on it.
yeah,
Oh, Ian must.
yeah. Ian was like,
Poor Ian.
he'll appreciate that. He'll appreciate your like
I
your
I think so. I mean, I still remember when, like, you, Ian, and Charlene, I
Charlene.
think,
Yeah. Mm.
you came to me and said, "Hey, let's have an event." And he seems really, really lively and ginky. I hope he still is, because it sounds like
Yes.
he's really busy.
Yeah, yeah. And then now that we have Ian on board, I think there's like we're also building the team culture. The because
Okay.
we're a part of the team within a hospitality company, and I think there's
Yes.
a lot like just like communication that needs to happen to make sure we're all working towards the same goal. And that
Right.
was a big part of our focus, like this entire year as well, to like build a
Yeah.
good relationships with our operations team, because they are the customers, and they're like our customer success team, and they're like
Right.
we need to like let everyone know this is not just like our product, it's also like it's everyone's product, and your feedback will help us improve, and things
Yeah.
are it's gonna be buggy, and then that's how like the development
Please
process.
forgive us. We have
Oh
one
yeah,
engineer. But no, I will admit, I do treat these interviews quite casually. Like, I think
yeah,
it's a really nice opportunity for people to actually see us and the work that we do, rather than,
yeah,
like, super polished kind of. Then
yeah.
again, also my video editing skills are still a work in progress. So I'll do my best.
Oh my god.
But one thing I wanted to ask was, so you were saying, you wanted the members in your team that do operations to know that you're on the same side and you're trying to work together.
Mm,
Often, like the first company that I worked at, huge company. So
mm,
what happens is we would not have the opportunity. Like, I was the lead product manager for a
mm,
product, but I would never have the opportunity to one-on-one talk to customers or talk to the
mm,
users. Um,
mm,
and at that time, we didn't have a database set up, so I couldn't also see how the users were using the application. Like, we had the
mm,
application and it was released, but we had very bare bones analytics. And so it then became difficult, other than,
mm,
how many people are using it every day, to understand
mm,
what customers wanted. So I'm wondering, what benefit have you found, being so close to the customers for the for the community based app, as well as
mm,
for the members of your team for the operations app, and how has it
mm.
helped you respond to their requests?
It's
You and Ian, poor Ian.
yeah, and right. Actually, we
And
should.
Ryan now, yeah.
No, right, yeah, But yeah, so it's no, it's really I think that's one thing that I'm really, really like just always grateful and like super excited about like the
Yeah.
easy access to our end user, our customer, be it like our guest or our operations team. And then we put a lot of effort into building this kind of the culture and relationship. I can talk a bit more about I think operations team because we that's what we've been focusing on like kind of
Recently.
so far. Like I think it's a lot of so actually everyone on the product team does like property visits on a weekly basis. So
Oh, okay.
it's yeah, so we will go to the property, we'll sit at the front desk, we'll like see, how operations team like work, we'll
Yeah.
chat with them, like what's been bothering you recently, anything that's like not
Okay.
working with the admin app. And then and also when guests come in, like when they do check in on our tablet, we
Yeah.
can see, how they're using it. And then also how our ops team help guests with their check in. So it's like actually
I,
very,
I,
very interesting. Yeah.
I was gonna say, I'm just imagining someone trying to check in, and you're standing in the corner staring at them, like, what is he pressing?
Well,
Did
make it
he
less
press that
obvious.
button?
I'm not gonna break. Yeah, I'm just like, oh yeah, you can do this. But yeah, but like there's definitely a really, it's a great learning experience because we learned
Yeah.
so much about because it's like definitely, it was different from how we imagined. Like people
Yeah.
were checking in and just seeing it with
Yeah.
your like own eyes and then see, from that, like what kind of improvement we can make. And then we also try to really, I think it's like this whole admin improvement process, like
Hmm.
an empowering process, like how we empower our
Yeah.
ops team so that they can make their own decision. They can come up with their own like solution for the problems that
Yeah.
they have to solve. So each property visit will try to have like a goal in mind, be it like
Okay.
how we're gonna figure out like how they like use, say like how they search things.
Right.
And
So you're
then
focusing on the specific aspect of the experience and then trying to break that down a little.
yeah, yeah. So the first few
Okay.
will more general like observation. We'll kind of come back
Yeah.
with like what we found, and then we'll target specific things. And we'll do like maybe like sketching session with people. Be
Yeah.
like, oh,
Oh,
like
okay.
for example, like how would you like redo this layout? Like how would you prefer to see all the bookings for coming
When you
out?
say with people, are you talking about the operations team,
Yeah,
or
our
who is
operations.
involved in that? Oh, okay.
We are operations team. Yeah. And then the interesting thing is also we have different properties and different
Yeah.
people at the properties. And each property you can see like maybe the styles is a little bit different and depending on the
Right.
person. So it's like a lot of, I guess, feedback to take in and then trying to like
Yeah.
find is there a common like, interest in all of these
Yeah. Because
things.
one thing I was wondering was, how do I say, you can get a lot of feedback
Mm,
from everyone, and it's really good to enable people to share their opinions, especially the people
yeah.
that actually using the app or what you see.
Yeah.
How do you, I guess, balance the different feedback that you get? So, if the one person says, "Oh, A is really good," but another person says, "Actually, I prefer it to be B," then what do
Mm.
you do to sort of settle that score?
I think we like when something like that happens, it's like
Yeah.
it kind of calls to like a bigger discussion. Say, oh, there's a
Okay.
difference in we need to like then it's not just I think solution like
Yeah.
different solutions also like different process at different
Right.
properties because we're such a young company, we have different processes everywhere.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's like that make us realize, oh, we need to make the practice consistent, for
Yes.
example. And then we come up for a good solution for that process. The things like that. And then and another is also just like kind of sometimes like I think the solution is I mean that it's always good to hear people coming up with the exact
Yeah.
solution. But it's more like
Yeah.
the underlying problem, right? So if there's
Right.
the yeah, yeah. And then we'll do like to identify the common problem that's behind these solutions and then do a
Yeah.
bit more like these like design feedback. We will propose something because in the end we're the product team. I'm like
Yes.
we're supposed to produce the end result and then we'll
Yeah.
like propose this and that to see if people find the solution to solve their problems altogether.
You said earlier that you would have a sketching session. Then would you take that sketch and then sort of share that around, get feedback on that before developing like an MVP? And I'm wondering, is there then an in-house testing thing, or is it sort of let's put it in? that people are using and then iterate from there.
Yeah, so the sketching session is more, yeah, for us to get an idea of like
Right.
what's in your mind, like yeah, other than just like talking about it. So we will like
Mm.
consolidate that the sketches that we receive, and actually to be like it's actually quite hard to get people to produce like actual sketches. So it kind of end up just like people would just start writing down bullet points. It's all
Right.
like yeah, yeah, yeah. And then so, but that's like just that it's more for us to like just to consider, and then we will
Yeah.
get back with the design kind of proposal to say, oh, what do you think about this to
Yeah.
this? Uh, mm, mm,
Then I wanted to ask, so you were saying earlier, when you see a customer checking in, or sorry, a
mm,
hotel guest checking in, and you see that they use things differently to the way that you imagine. Like
mm,
I, so because I run a scuba diving club, so I set up our
mm,
website and I
mm,
installed this thing called Jar, where you can see
mm,
like where the user clicks and what they're doing.
yeah,
And for me, because of course I built it, so I navigate around it really quickly, and I'm like, oh, this makes
yeah,
sense. And I spent 20 minutes watching someone else do it, and it's a completely different experience for them, but it's
mm,
one that without that system I would have no idea. So I'm wondering how does it make you feel, when you see a customer interacting with the product that you've made in a way that you didn't expect, and then
mm.
how do you adjust to that?
Uh, Yeah, I think it's a big part of it is we definitely like like so for us it's not just how the customer like interact with
Right.
the iPad. It's also how the
Right.
customer with the iPad and with our front desk staff.
Ah,
Like
okay,
the
okay.
yeah, because when we did, like, because I think we also use hotjar for some of our unmanned
Yeah.
properties. For example, like yeah, when no one is there, we want to see what if people have any troubles.
Ah,
Yeah, 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 we'll play back on that.
yeah.
But when
It's
people
interesting though, watching like where people click.
yeah, 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 exactly, and then, like, for the longest time, like, people all because we have 2 different, like, photo steps, like, one is
Okay.
for their passport, one is for their
Right.
face, and
Right.
then, like, for like, it's people always, like, mix it up, like, sometimes people will take
Oh,
a
I see.
face photo on the ID step and then, like yeah, and then we add the yeah,
They fold
and
the
we'll just
passport really close and
yeah, 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 and then don't not sure because we have a passport frame on the so we
yeah.
first it's like that problem, so we added like more
Right.
visual prompt to signal
Right.
which one is for which. We added like a passport frame on the camera view, and then
Right.
and we say, "Oh, please fit your ID into this frame." And people always get confused. Do we have to fit into the icon frame or the like camera frame? I don't have to like they will like be like standing really like in the back to try to fit their passport into that.
Oh,
Yeah, and there was, "Oh, yeah, I thought it was supposed to be helping," but then I guess it's
yeah.
maybe and that yeah,
It's
things
making
like
it
that.
harder.
Yeah, and then, like, we have a timer on the face photo part because it wants to be like, "Oh,
Okay.
cheese," and then smile, right?
Yeah.
And then, like we saw, like, 3 seconds is a pretty okay time for people to
Yeah.
react, but then when you're there, like, 3 seconds feels just like forever. It's just like,
Yeah. Because
you know,
oh, it's too long?
it's too long. It's like pretty much
Oh, I
it's just,
see.
like, kinda awkward. Like, it's just yeah. Yeah, yeah. That to speed
Okay.
that up. Yeah, and then there are also because we're quite, like, strict about
Yeah.
collecting guest information, we want everyone
Well,
who are
because you need it,
staying
right?
to yeah, we want everyone to
Yeah.
check in on the tablet, and then that's what we've been kinda asking our operations team to do as well. But when I was
Right.
actually at the property to see, people coming with, like, bags and kids and then, like and being the operations person,
Yeah.
you're just like one per the you people just expect the main guests to check in and they're done.
Right.
And then
Right.
to
Right.
see being that just be like, "Oh, sorry, actually everyone needs to finish, like, this process." It's
Oh, you
quite
need each
like
person to do it.
yeah, yeah, we try to get every person to do it because then
Oh,
we'll
okay.
get, like, actually everyone because actually the passport photo is required for each person, and then if
Oh,
you go
okay. Oh,
yeah,
right.
yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
yeah, and then once everyone do it, it's also easier for them to sign up for the experience app.
Right.
Yeah. So, like, we made a lot of effort to make the second guest, like check-in process very smooth. It would just pretty
Right.
much copy and paste everything like that's the same from the first guest. But still,
I
like
see.
when
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
it just feel like people you just can't really ask that when you're like, in that situation. So we
yeah.
kind of see how like, our operations team struggle and maybe like, oh, how do we make this easier? And then we ended up kind of like we really tried to promote this pre-check-in, like, like
Oh,
everyone
okay.
finished in before, so
Yeah,
you just come and scan. And then
yeah.
and the check-in experience would just be a fun photo taking
Oh,
session.
that yeah, yeah, like you do on the like on an airplane, you do the
And
pre-booking and the oh,
yeah,
okay.
yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah, because
yeah.
I will say, as a new father, if I had to carry my daughter and the stroller and the diaper backpack, and then it's like, oh no, we need to take all 4 passports and like hold it up to
Yeah,
the camera. It's like I just want to
yeah,
go to my
yeah.
room.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's yeah, a lot of these things we kind of learn from like really observing and being there with the customers and our like team operations team too.
Well, I
Yeah,
have to say, like having that opportunity, I think the fact that you do the weekly sort of property visits is
yeah.
so powerful because that gives you direct,
Mm,
feedback
mm, mm.
rather than going to maybe a team manager or to a customer service member and then that coming to you and then
Yeah,
that creates like a blocker. That sounds honestly like a really exciting opportunity to be in a place where you get that kind of interaction.
yeah, yeah, definitely. And then this is also a way for us to build that kind of the product like culture,
Yeah.
with like
Yeah.
throughout the team as well.
Mhm.
Um, yeah.
So I wanted to ask, so you were saying that you yourself are the lead product designer and then you have, or sorry, director of product design, if I'm not mistaken. And then you've got,
Think
I know it's a title, but still, you
yeah.
are. And you've got Ian and now Ryan joining your team. Now that you're expanding to, 180 rooms and 8 properties, is onboarding something that you're trying to look at to grow the team, or are you trying to prioritize the members that we have smooth? Yes. At what point do you decide let's grow our team, and how do
Oh,
we
we
do
are.
that in a way that fits with the culture?
Yeah, no, I think that's a very good point. And then we are planning to expand the team. This year, I think we're planning to hire one more developer.
Okay.
Um, Yeah, and then, like and that would be a more I think because Ian and Naraya are both pretty, like, experienced, like, senior
Yeah.
developers where I think we have the, like, capacity to take on a more junior dev, and then
Okay.
we just started looking actually, like, now. So and then we're looking for that person. I think it's really about, like especially when the team is so small, I think the
Yeah.
cultural is so important.
Yeah.
Like someone who is passionate about like the hospitality industry and then, passionate about community and then is able to just absorb and learn and like be proactive. So that's kind of like how we are what we're looking for this particular
Yeah.
person. And especially I think when you're just a three people like including me, three people team, and then like it, one addition is a big change and how we're
Yes.
gonna like make because so far it's been quite we do everything quite collaboratively. Like we
Yeah.
do the sprint like I'm like sprint planning the retro and all the like feature prioritization all together. And there's no too
I'm,
much yeah.
I'm just picturing Ian in a one-man sprint. Ian's like, I've only got this many hours. I can't.
Yeah. Yeah, right? And then but so no, everyone is the responsibility is more shared,
Right.
like so far. But
Right.
now, like if there's more people, then maybe people should have more designated roles in this whole like on the team and how we like. And you want to look at like personal growth interests and like how and everything. It's just like
Yeah.
that's what's been on my mind a lot recently. It's like oh, after we have
Are
this
you
team.
are you currently
Mm.
interviewing? Like, are you
Uh,
conducting interviews or?
Not yet. We actually just finished our JD and we're just about to
Oh, okay.
post it. So if
Okay.
you have anyone in mind, please. Yeah.
Yeah, no, we do have not, I don't know within product tech specifically, but we ran Japan product camp before and we do have
Oh,
some. software developers who participated in the camp that might be interested.
Well,
So I'm happy to
okay.
share like one if you send me the job description, share that.
Wait.
Say
Oh, yeah,
it's worth
great.
taking a look at. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be great. Yeah. Yeah,
A
so
lot of
that's
interviews coming up.
yeah, yeah, lots of interviews coming out, and then, like, we had the interview process when we had gotten
Yeah.
Orion on board, we've kind of figured out the
Yes.
whole first interview process. But then I think the onboarding is, like, experience for new developer to join is
Yeah.
still, like, a ongoing, like, thing, you know? Especially there's so much, like, context, like, because
Yeah.
different teams have different requests, and how do we make that into a feasible onboarding plan and
Yeah.
a, like, a fun one too. So,
I'm gonna take a wild guess and say that your
mm.
documentation is perfect. No?
It's yeah, we make effort, but I
Yes.
think,
Yes.
if you asked me about this maybe a year ago, I was like, "It's pretty perfect." It's pretty, like, 'cause I spent a lot of time
Yes.
documenting things, like, maybe a year
Right.
ago.
Right.
But now it just left. Like,
It does get a little bit difficult
yeah, it gets very
to keep
difficult as
up
the
with it.
team grows and, yeah, more
Yeah.
things happening. So, yeah.
No,
And we
I
mentioned
will admit when I
Kickstarter. Yeah,
sorry, go ahead, go
sorry,
ahead.
sorry. Oh, no, no, please.
No, I was
What were
gonna say
you
when I joined Metacuddy, the 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 onboarding process was actually surprisingly smooth. So I
oh,
got like
yeah?
a Google Doc with like a
Mm,
checklist of these are all the people that you need to have one-on-one meetings with. These are the channels
mm,
that you need to follow. This is the Confluence page that we have. So just rating of the Confluence page.
right.
Spend your first 3 days doing that and take the time to ease into it. And that was a
Yeah.
really it was a really good opportunity to have time to onboard.
Mm,
I think in total the onboarding process was like a month and a half
oh,
before there was
wow.
any expectation for me to start producing. And so that gave me
Okay.
the opportunity to really get comfortable in the role.
Okay, okay. Oh, that's good to know, like, that, yeah, kinda that time frame. Yeah,
Especially if
for
you're looking at someone a little bit more junior,
yeah,
I don't
yeah.
think they could just jump into the deep end. So it's like,
Yeah.
this is how the team works, but also this is the technical capabilities that we're hoping to see.
Mm,
And we want you to be a part of our team based on culture, but maybe they might be lacking in a certain technical skill. And so then giving them the time to learn as part of that also then makes them feel, supported.
yeah, yeah, definitely. Mm.
Sounds like a lot
Yeah.
of big choices ahead, Lily.
Yeah, I know. And also thinking about how, what's the next hire, like, well, what's next,
Yeah,
right? After like 3 people dev team. Cause like I would really love to have like, like actually a proper whole like product team, like a PM and a
yeah,
UX/UI designer with all these
yeah,
like things that we have to build right now. We
yeah,
really don't have the capability to build that much because we're also maintaining a
yeah,
lot of the and day-to-day stuff. To really build momentum, to bring
yeah.
out, like, exciting features, I think we need a bigger team. Yeah.
Well, I will say that's a good problem to have. Like
Yeah, yeah,
in
yeah.
terms of problems, the problem of I want to do more and
Well,
I want to figure out how to get there. I think that's a very good
mm,
problem to have. But that
yeah.
ties into I'm kind of curious, in your day to day, how do you see your work, changing now that the borders have opened and now that you're getting a lot more customers? Like you said, the spike for Sakura season was very high, and your
Mm,
initial
mm,
customer base was more people that were staying for 6 months. And I imagine for a guest that's staying for 6 months, it's a lot
mm,
easier to maintain a
mm.
community experience. But how do you bring that to someone that's only staying for? Curious your thoughts around.
Like, in terms of the community part, like, how do we curate the
Yeah, so
community?
like if I'm staying for
Mm,
6 months, then I have the
mm,
opportunity to,
mm,
get to
mm,
know
mm,
the other people in the building and there's more time to create that community. But if
mm,
someone's
mm,
staying
mm.
for a week, how do you get to the level of community that you're hoping to achieve?
Oh, oh. But actually, like, for us, it's kind of the sense of community is like stronger now than when people are staying
Oh,
for long.
okay.
Yeah, or
That's
more maybe
interesting.
more because the demographics, like, and
Yes.
purpose of why people are here. I think
Right.
a
They're
lot of
they're
people
more
they're
open.
yeah, they're ready to
Oh, that's
explore.
exciting.
Yeah, yeah. And then, like, and people, even though, like, I think our community events wise is still stay
Yeah.
kind of the same because the only events we're hosting in house is the happy hours.
Right.
But then people are like, I think we get a lot more questions like about it,
Yeah.
and then like and people ask for recommendations a lot more.
Right.
So we can point them to the places we like and in the neighborhood,
Yeah.
things like that. And day to day, but yeah, definitely, I think it's just more request from customers on a day to day
Okay.
basis, not just like because of the volume of guest base we
Yeah.
have, just like demand for fun things to do.
Yeah.
Like people will ask about, like, oh, like how can I want to rent a bike and bike around Tokyo. Like that's something we never
Right. Right.
like had before. And then just like all kinds of restaurants requests, or even like people with kids, all like, oh, what's a good place to
What's a
go
good
with
place for
more
kids?
specific things. So a wider range of like, yeah, requests from customers.
Okay.
And also operationally for us, like for my day to day is
Yeah.
is actually more a bug report. Like, so because like bug
It's
reports
not
channels, like
working. Ian, it's not working.
yeah, yeah, because like more check-ins, right, on a daily basis.
Right.
It's like,
Right.
oh, the camera didn't load this time, and then like, and then the remote lock door code didn't work for this guest. So
Oh, that
these
must be
things, and
so
then
frustrating. You're in front of your door, like it's not working. It's
yeah, yeah. And then more just like more expectation to manage, like now that we have
yeah.
different yeah, the other reviews, with the new buildings we're
Yeah. Yeah.
opening.
Because
Uh
especially in
yeah,
Japan, I feel like the bar for hospitality is very high.
yeah, yeah.
Like I remember reading one article that was saying, in Japan, we have this omotenashi sort of
Mm,
mentality, but
yeah,
it's more because the bar is very high, we have to meet that bar rather than,
yeah.
we're doing it out of selflessness. It's more like this is what is
Uh,
expected of us. And so let's be up to that level.
yeah.
But that
Oh.
also makes things very hard when it's like, why isn't the door opening?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And therefore, on the software level, we
Yeah.
add a lot more like monitoring, right? Just like
Right.
because before we always rely on like just people reporting back to
Oh,
us,
I see.
like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and now it's just like some auto like monitoring that we
So that
we
you can
will be
scale up a little
notified.
bit.
So yeah, yeah, yeah. So things like to like hand make small things a bit more efficient, so we
Yeah.
can focus our minds a bit more on the the actual problem.
No, no, I mean that it does get very easy to be swamped by things, and
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that
and
was
then
our
to think,
internal one. Sorry.
well,
Yeah.
that's okay because Q2 you're opening up to more people. So Q1
Yeah.
is like let's
Yeah.
Ian, fix your code kind of let's have
Yeah, and that's the reason why we haven't been able to come to pilot tank. That's like
oh
every
no,
day
that's okay.
that's
I mean
no, 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 that's like firefighting every day.
no, that
Oh,
it can get busy, like it can get difficult to take the time to say, okay, what are we doing next? When it's like, okay, let's fix what we have and let's make sure what we have works because
yeah,
there's always
yeah.
another bug somewhere.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I think it's like
Yeah.
like what I'm trying to like get the team to be excited about is, yeah, just like spend some time thinking about the
Bugs.
future, right?
Yeah.
Like yeah. Yeah, because it's like it's very exhausting to be just always react in reactive mode.
There.
You're just reacting to just things and not planning for the future. Like, yeah, so that's like a balance we're trying to strike, and it's been pretty
It
challenging.
is. It is. Yeah. I mean, it can get difficult, when you have a bug come in and if it's
Yeah,
an urgent bug, like someone can't get into their room, it's like,
mm,
okay,
yeah,
clearly that takes priority. But we also
yeah,
have a vision on the things that we want to build.
yeah, yeah.
It sounds,
It's actually like yeah, it's not just the expectation from the guests that we want to meet,
yeah.
it's also from our ops team, right? Because 'Cause they're part of
Right.
our customer, like, we want them to know that, "Oh, this, like, apps are working, like, you can trust us to, like" Yeah, it will work.
Just, we've used third party. These are better options, but it is a work in
Yeah.
progress. It just.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
No, I did want to say going back to we had discussed previously that you're really working on the digital experience and then you're also
Mm,
trying to work together with the communities. Like, do you yourself go out to these cafes and to things in the
mm.
neighborhood, or how are you bridging that digital and community aspect, physical community aspect?
Yeah. So I don't physically like go to the cafes, but our like
Right.
Charlene and one of the
Okay.
co-founders, so the community brand and marketing team, they do all the
Yeah.
community outreach basically for every new
Okay.
property. They'll like Charlene will handpick all the
Yeah.
osusume spots and they'll go say hi to every owner, and we'll actually take branding photos for each of the places
Oh, I
we
see.
recommend,
Okay.
and
And
then
put
we'll
that on your
use that
website.
and put it on our website, and we'll make like postcards for with and so we'll
Oh,
give it
that's
to our
nice.
guests, and they'll have like post QR code people can scan
Yeah.
where they are. So that's kind of our current effort to like bridge the local community with our guests.
Yeah.
And then future wise, we definitely want to like promote that more in our experience app.
So I wanted to ask, and that sounds like a really good opportunity to connect the customers with the place that they're staying. I'm more out of curiosity. Do you see yourself also branching into? You were saying community events, but do you see yourself branching into sort of if someone wants to do a sake brewery tour, then you also reach out to maybe a local operator that
Mm,
does those kind of tours, or do you reach out to a sake brewery themselves and say, if we have guests that are interested, like do
mm,
you
mm,
connect not only with cafes and venues, but then
mm.
also other sort of
Tours.
experience accommodating services?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I think that's the future direction we do want to move into. Like, yeah. But one thing that we are cautious of is like, we want to balance the operations effort, like
Right,
with organizing all these tours. So that's where digital part comes in. How
right.
can we make it just so the guests maybe can just book it directly themselves without having to
Yes,
go through like because we're pretty light on operations. Like every
right.
front desk has like maximum 2 people, and then handling like a 30 room like building, and that's a lot of things too. Yeah. And our team is like super international, very diverse too.
Yeah,
So like speak good English. But definitely like for the local tour groups, and I have like friends
yeah,
reach out to me, oh, like they started just like a bike rental thing. I mean, are we
yeah.
interested in? And they started like a Tsukichi, like yeah, food tour. That's a
Oh, okay.
space we want to we haven't like quite tapped into yet, but we want to go
Yeah.
into
If you
future.
spend all of Q1 doing bugs, it makes sense that, there's still room to grow.
Yeah.
But then let me wrap up with one last question.
Mm,
You were saying that you really try to work with the local community.
mm,
So, for example, with Shibuya, they have this startup support or like office, and so then they will
mm,
help startups grow and then connect them with
mm,
business operations inside. Because Japan, one of the biggest industries is
mm,
hospitality. Like, have you
mm.
had the opportunity to work together with like members that already exist in this space, whether it's other hotels saying like, "Hey, we offer a long-term option," or whether it's to the city, say, to the city ward saying like, "Hey, we're a hotel and we want to try promote this specific ward because we're community focused and
Mm.
region focused." Has that been something that's been explored, or is that sort of later in the roadmap?
It's more probably later in the roadmap, we haven't really like, got to that part yet. Right now, I think
Yeah.
our like, this year is quite focused on growing the room counts, actually. Like, we
Right.
want to
Right.
enough of mass so we can, like, really make impact and build something. And then,
Keep the
yeah, so, like,
operation
I think
smooth.
yeah, yeah, keep the operations, like, smooth and make some like yeah. So it's and I say that like definitely community is like one of our biggest focus, but I think we
Yeah.
haven't like done enough to really like be like, oh, we are a community like
Right.
a driven company. And we are in like in mindset, but then I think
Yes.
there's still a lot of like action actions that need to be carried out to
Yeah.
really build a relationship and have a whole support group and yeah.
I will say the nice thing is because you're making a product, like the
Mm,
the community product is a nice to have product. Like
mm, mm.
inherently, but how do I say it? Like the main service is the room, and so people will
Mm,
come and enjoy the room, and then to improve that experience and to make that significantly better, then you're developing this community application and trying to
Mm,
create this community experience. And the nice thing
yeah.
there is if it was a startup that was only working on the community experience, I think it would
Yeah.
struggle a lot more.
Mm,
So
mm, mm.
it sounds like a really good combination of, we're really working on the sort of real estate physical property
Mm,
side of the things and trying to
yeah.
make sure that that experience is smooth. But then how do we also then increase the digital life of our customers while they're here? Because the city can be really inviting or really like distant depending on how close you get into the community.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And I think even though definitely the community part is a nice to
Yeah.
have, but it is also, I think, the core and the soul of a brand,
Yes.
right? Like, yeah,
Yes. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. I mean,
yeah,
especially the menu that we hosted our Boninkai last year.
mm,
Like that's incredible.
yeah,
Like that's not a hotel, but that's really this community space where you're saying, hey, anyone who has an idea that wants to try something, come set
mm.
up in our location, and we're happy to support you. I thought that was an incredible initiative.
Oh, yeah. Oh, thank you. Yeah, and so glad to and that's kind of how we really get to, like, meet all these different communities
Yeah.
in the city, and
And
yeah,
then you get invites to those communities, and then you can't make it because you're busy making community experiences. It's a lot of work.
yes. And yeah, I don't know if I found out. Like so the pop-up house actually closed.
No,
Um,
why?
yeah, yeah. Yeah, we actually closed it because our the owner of the space, like they wanted
Mhm.
to find a long-term tenant and they
Ah,
thought, because we're kind of operating it as like a pop-up, like there's
right.
people are less likely to rent it.
You know, you
So
you could just take out the word pop up and then make it your long term thing. No,
right? Yeah, that would be nice.
ah,
I
it's
wouldn't
like you don't have that space anymore.
We don't have that space anymore, which is such a shame. Like, I
Okay.
really love that space, like, for all these community things,
Yes. Yeah.
the
Yeah.
opportunity. But I mean, in the future, we can definitely, like, as we expand, I think we'll have more opportunities to find some
Because
space like that.
you look at all of these new massive department stores that are coming up. Like
Mm.
Kabukicho just got a new one with a huge
Yeah,
like
of course.
Yokocho area and things like that. But it doesn't feel from that community, if that makes sense.
Mm, oh, I see.
Like
Oh,
it
I
feels
haven't
like
been.
Tokyo. No, it's like it's lovely and it's
Mm,
quite an experience in itself.
mm,
But
mm.
it just feels like Tokyo Corporation has so much money that they're like, oh, let's put this together rather than, people
Yeah.
that live there going, like, I was so impressed during the pandemic
Mm,
to see how many
mm,
restaurants closed, but then also how many
mm,
restaurants opened because you had someone go, I have an idea and I want to take this
mm.
shot and I want to see if I can run this. And what I liked about your pop-up store was you were creating a space for people with those ideas to try explore it. They might
Mm,
not have
yeah.
the financial backing, but it allows them to embed themselves within the community that they're in.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Oh, now
So
that
hopefully that's something that you guys explore again in the future.
yes, yes, we would love to. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't know that closed. That's a shame.
Yeah, I know it's very sad, but yeah, but hopefully, I think we'll definitely like have something similar in the
Just
future too.
fingers crossed for a new property
Mm.
location.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Or even like if you dream if like one of our properties like comes with that space where we can
Yeah.
invite people over. Yeah, like
Yeah,
a
because I
proper.
imagine hotels, they don't think like, oh, let's have community area in the
Mm,
building.
mm, mm. Yeah,
It's okay. One day you're gonna have a hotel that says like section L and that section L owned.
yeah,
One day.
yeah. Yeah, we'll have some like development project where we build the building from ground up. So that
That's
would be
exciting.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
In
So
That's in a couple years time, I imagine.
yeah, that would be a very long
Yeah.
term. But we'll be definitely yeah,
It sounds like
yeah,
a very good vision to have. This has been very insightful for me. I learned a
yeah. I
lot.
hope
So
yeah. Yeah, I hope I
yeah,
was
of
able to
course.
provide some like it's kind of like all over the place because I guess we're not like a
No.
traditional, like a
Yeah.
start like there's just tech startup. We're just like hospitality startup. We're like very hybrid, and then there's just so
Yeah.
much going on. And in my role as well, I guess I'm quite very involved in the product development process, but
Yes.
I'm also involved in a physical space and also kind of building a process like within a team as well. So it's yeah, hope.
I
there's
mean, no,
something.
I think that's a very, I think that your opinion on this matter is quite insightful because you do have a lot of companies in Japan that are trying to figure out digital transformations. How do we
Mm,
improve the digital aspect of our products?
mm, mm,
And, nowadays they say that it's easier for a software company to get into car manufacturing than it is for a car manufacturer to get into software. And I think the same
mm,
idea applies here where you're saying, there's so many hotels in
mm,
Japan, but not all of them have a good digital experience. And
mm.
honestly, nowadays, this is how people get around the city. They want to know where to go. They Google it, the best things to do
Yeah.
in Tokyo. And so you're providing that community experience and that access to where they are, especially in a
Mm,
city where if you don't speak Japanese, can feel very like, it's really cool, but I'm not embedded in it. And this way
yeah,
you're
yeah, yeah.
giving so I think that your experience there in trying to bridge that gap is very insightful. At the same time, because it is, a startup and you have a small development team, your skill set has to be very wide. How do we build team culture? How do I lead the team? Even if it's a team of three, you're still operating together with Ian collaboratively and now with Brian.
Mm.
So you sound like you've got a lot on your plate, but it gives you a really good opportunity to grow.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. It's been a, yeah, very rewarding like experience, and I definitely feel like me like a year ago, like versus me now, is like
Yeah.
mindsets and everything is very different. I think like lots of different acquiring lots of skills along the way, so it's
Do
good.
you, I'm curious, do
Mm,
you take the time? So this is like just, I guess, after interview question, like, do you take the
yeah.
time to reach out and maybe find a mentor or find someone who's in a similar situation to you that you can also bounce ideas also? Because I'm sure there's a lot of
Yeah,
people.
yeah. Yeah, no, I think that's a very good question. I think that's something I need to do. I don't do enough of. And that's something I am like I want to work on, just like
Yes.
reaching out to people more and just find people like outside the company. Because right now I feel like I would like my husband is my consultant. Like, because he works I will go like he because he works in the software space and
Oh, I see,
I
I see.
I'm really like and he's quite like product focused, like software
Right.
engineers. Like, I'm like, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? But that's also not a great thing to, to always have
No,
like
it's
in your
great.
like first. I mean, it's great,
That
but then
it's
sometimes like
great.
when you, it's great, and I really appreciate it. But also, it's like I feel like maybe I should have more like people that so I don't like always put my stress on like on him. Like
It's
when things
it's
get really
okay.
stressful. Yeah,
It's okay. You're married. That's part of the deal. You work
yeah,
together. You support each other. You throw
yeah.
stress
Part of
at
the
each other, but
package.
it's a loving relationship.
Yeah, 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 definitely. And like, yeah, he's always joking like I should like your company should pay me.
It's like
And
one day you just get an emailed invoice. Oh no, HR doesn't approve it.
like talk to more like people in this space and yeah, like
Yeah,
either be it like product people or like community builders and
yeah.
yeah, even having this conversation with you is like a very it's nice to talk about, all these things with someone who understands, like who's like been through many different like yeah.
Oh no, no, no. You give me too
Yeah.
much credit, but they
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
like I think it's an interesting space to be in.
Mm, mm, mhm.
So you're talking about running community. Like I've been trying to do this for I didn't realize, but over a year now,
Oh,
and
wow.
it's something that's been really insightful to get to have the opportunity to talk to people that I would never meet otherwise and to learn
Mm,
from each other. So, I know that you're really busy firefighting bugs in all of Q1, but if you have the chance to join one of our events, like
yes,
always,
yes.
always, thank you so much for taking the time to have a chat with me. I've learned a lot.
Yeah.
I'm doing other things, but really thank you for taking the time.
No, great. It's a pleasure. Thank you for asking me to participate.
Yes.